Class, today we'll be going over the endosymbiotic theory, unraveling the origin of eukaryotic cells. So the endosymbiotic theory suggests that mitochondria and chloroplasts, two organelles found in eukaryotic cells, were formerly free-living prokaryotes that were consumed by an original host cell. In addition to changing our perspective on the beginnings of eukaryotes, this proposal has important ramifications for comprehending the evolution of complex living forms. Gaining an understanding of this idea is essential for investigating subjects in cellular biology, genetics, and evolutionary theory. So today's objectives, we will be gaining an understanding of this idea for essential investigations through identifying the evidence and supporting the theory, recognizing the implications, understanding the endosymbiotic theory, and introducing methods of teaching the concept and how to encourage critical thinking. In modern biology, it's based on the endosymbiotic theory. It provides an elaborate and comprehensive account of how eukaryotic cells came to the emphasizing the role that symbiosis plays in an evolutionary process. The hypothesis has altered our knowledge of ecology, medicine, genetics, cell biology, and even biotechnology. Its effects have broad applications ranging from the invention of new biotechnological tools to the treatment of genetic illnesses that they still influence scientific study. The endosymbiotic theory emphasizes how collaborative interactions can propel biological innovation and how intertwined all life is. The origins of eukaryotic cells, including plants, animals, fungi, and protists, have been a subject of debate for decades. In 1967, biologist Lynn Margulis proposed that the endosymbiotic theory, which posts that mitochondria and chloroplast organelles are found in eukaryotic cells, were once free-living prokaryotic creatures absorbed by an original eukaryotic cell. This symbiotic association grew stronger and transforming prokaryotes into crucial components of the host cell, transferring genetic material and increasing the complexity of contemporary eukaryotes. Numerous lines of evidence from comparative cell biology, molecular biology, and genetics support the endosymbiotic theory. The idea that mitochondria and chloroplasts originated from free-living bacteria is strongly supported by this evidence, which shows that these organelles have a lot in common with some prokaryotic species. The endosymbiotic theory is demonstrated by photosynthetic bacteria and protists such as pollen chromatophoria, as well as contemporary species like corals and photosynthetic algae. These illustrations of continuing symbiotic interactions provide credence to the notion that endosymbiosis is a crucial factor in the creation of complex living forms. Apart from instances involving chloroplasts, mitochondria, and also offer a particular example of the endosymbiotic theory, the replication and symbiotic connection of mitochondria, which are vital organelles in eukaryotic cells, demonstrate endosymbiosis in action. They are comparable to alpha proteobacteria and contemporary parasitic bacteria. Genetics, medicine, and evolutionary biology are just a few of the biological disciplines that have been greatly influenced by the endosymbiotic theory. It implies that the complex cellular structures we see today are the result of those symbiotic connections between various and prokaryotic species that led to the evolutionary of eukaryotic cells. The idea underlines the relevance of symbiosis in human evolution, mitochondrial DNA, and mitochondrial disorders, as well as its significance in forming evolutionary history. Also, it affects ecosystems, photosynthesis, biotechnology, antibiotic resistance, and mitochondrial treatment. In order to promote critical thinking regarding the interdependence of life and the function of symbiosis in creating complex creatures, the hypothesis has also led educators to update their lessons on the beginnings of eukaryotic cells. Additionally, it defies traditional assumptions about evolution as a competitive process. When teaching complex topics like the endosymbiotic theory, it is essential to tailor the approach to the specific needs and understandings of levels of different student populations. The delivery approach should engage students with different learning styles and backgrounds, whether it is for dual enrolled undergraduate or advanced placement students. Since AP students may already be familiar with the fundamentals of cellular biology, a more inquiry-based discussion-oriented approach might encourage deeper investigation and critical thinking, clear systematic explanations that progressively progress for fundamental concepts to more complicated ones while adding relatable examples and real-world applications are necessary for dual-enrolled students juggling high school and college studies. Teachers may take sure students at various academic levels understand the importance of the endosymbiotic theory and its consequence for biological science by modifying presentation style and content depth. An introduction to the theory will be introducing it like the following. For example, I bet you were unaware of how frequently Hollywood appropriates biological knowledge. You typically think of Jurassic Park or Gattaca when someone asks you about films that teach biology, but what about Star Wars? You may remember the scene in Episode 1 where one of the Jedi Knights is speaking to young Anakin Skywalker. The Jedi is explaining to Annie why the Force is so strong with him. According to the Jedi, all beings have tiny little organisms inside inside their cells called mitochondria. These mitochondria are responsible for giving the being life force energy. The more mitochondria a being had in their cells, the greater the force. The Jedi tells Annie that a long time ago, these little mitochondria came to live inside of beings in a symbiotic relationship, which is a relationship that benefits both the being and the mitochondria. So what does this have to do with biology? Good question. Endosymbiotic theory is the leading theory regarding the evolution of eukaryotic cells. According to the theory, mitochondria came to live inside of our cells hundreds of millions of years ago. Mitochondria supplies us with energy, the force, and the more mitochondria a cell has, the more energy it can produce. This gets us into the video that it does as the explanation.
Master, what are midichlorians? Master,
So with an introduction that helps them understand how certain parts live inside, it's a great way to elaborate. This gets the students' attention. So students will be able to go to a specific site, which is Learn Genetics, to learn about endosymbiosis. They will read a page and answer guided questions and also an easy to understand video if they don't get it. It helps explain to them how endosymbiosis, it breaks down the words into prefixes and helps them picture the story as something eating a bigger cell eating a smaller cell. They can also read Brian Sky's Seven Daughters of Eve, a great book about using mtDNA to trace ancestry. Their guided questions will help them on how, for example, leading them to what is endosymbiosis, what might mitochondria want to live in our cells. There is evidence for this theory, and how mitochondria and the made-up mitochondrions are similar, and how mitochondria and chloroplasts are similar, which might have more mitochondria, a muscle cell or a bone cell, and why. This will help elaborate their thinking and gain deeper knowledge. The endosymbiotic theory has plenty of diverse data to support it. The traits of mitochondria and chloroplasts from structural genetic resemblance to the replication inheritance process clearly imply that there are free-living prokaryotes that develop symbiotic associations with the host cell. As we continue to investigate these discoveries, the endosymbiotic theory continues to be a fundamental component of our overall understanding of how complex living forms have evolved.